To all of our listeners, tonight we have a treat for you. We have the great Dr. West, also accompanied by Dr. Issa. What a privilege to have someone of such great intellect, a fighter, someone who's remained humble, someone who's faced so much adversity in America, yet still a love warrior. Dr. West, good evening. Welcome to WKO.
Brother, you're very kind, but I'm just so very blessed to be in conversation with you all, to learn and to listen and to lift up the great voices of the grand country of Haiti that pushed back Napoleon with organization, with a deep love of the people, and the ramifications of the Haitian Revolution are still felt today.
Thank you so much, Dr. West. I know you've been perhaps following events from afar. As recently as 2 days ago, the Secretary of State for the U.S. was in Haiti to many of us paying lip service of the security crisis because we saw that they delegated the mission to our Kenyan brothers to no success. 6 weeks into it, Haiti's still suffering. Haitians are still dying in the streets. Any thoughts for the Haitian people, especially in terms of the security crisis there?
Well, one, I just want to say on a very personal level that our Haitian brothers and sisters must never think that they are alone. And we must never abandon them. We must never forget them. We must never render their suffering invisible. That the fundamental pillars of self-respect, self-defense, and self-determination must always sit at the very center of our perception of Haitians or any other oppressed people. And when it comes to any kinds of occupations or forms of subjugation, see, Blinken has absolutely no moral authority whatsoever given the relationship of the American empire to Haiti. And so I think we have to be very, very honest in that regard. But my attitude is always to try to listen to the voices of Haitians, because that's where I learn it. That's where I'm in power.
Thank you so much, Dr. West. Well, that being said, again, we're kind of looking at a shift. You are very connected to the African diaspora. As you've noticed, countries like Niger, a lot more other countries are shifting away from the U.S. And now we saw, again, Kenya being utilized in the pawn game, proxy game going on. What are your thoughts in terms of the next chapter of U.S. foreign policy of utilizing black nations against black nations to further their colonialism and their colonialist agenda?
Well, I think any time an empire is in decline, the U.S. empire is in deep decline. Of course, they have a deep fear of China, and they have a distinctive fear of Russia. But they're in deep decline, and they're looking for collaborators. There's no way an empire can reproduce itself without collaborators within their either colonial or neo-colonial or satellite countries. And there's always been enough willing collaborators. This is true in the continent of Africa. This is true in the Caribbean. There's a long, long history of folk who have accommodated themselves to the needs of the American empire rather than the needs of poor and working people in Haiti and other parts of the Caribbean, and especially on the African continent. So the question at this point is to be able to keep track of the ways in which the American empire becomes more and more desperate as it feels its powers lessening, diminishing. And I think we're going to see more and more of that in the coming years.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Is America still know you are a candidate for the presidency? Because you make so many appearances on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, all the ABC channel. And today, as a candidate of independent, you left the Green Party. How do you view this election that you are an African American and for your struggle in this country? Today, the media is not putting a level of attention to your candidacy. How do you feel about this?
Well, I'm not surprised because the media itself is very much a state propaganda. MSNBC,
but when they need
CNN, they come in for dialogue, yeah. And when I come out swinging, they hold off for another month, 2 months, 3 months. Then they bring me back again. Now MSNBC never brings me, but CNN does. CNN does, and that's Laura Coates and the others who were kind enough to kind of reach out and do that kind of thing. Now, your True News Nation in an interesting kind of way. Brother Shane and Brother Chris have brought me in every now and then, but it's not a regular kind of thing. And it's partly because they don't want to expose their audience to the kind of indictment that I would put forward. But it's in the name of truth and justice and love. That's the slogan of my campaign, you know. Now, what's going to happen is in the next few weeks, now that we have access to Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, as well as
an independent candidate, your name is on all the 50 state ballots?
Well, no, we'll be on about 44.
44 states.
Well, that's not true. We'll be on about 22, and we'll be on 44, including write-in. And write-in, you have to have petition too. Now, right now, we got legal suits. Democratic Party has already put forward a whole host of legal suits against us with their very well-trained and financially supported lawyers to keep us off the ballot, but they're not winning.
Okay. My other point, there was a statement that came out of your campaign last week that the Kamala Harris camp offer you money to drop out. What can you tell us about that today?
Well, it's true. Yeah, they had people reach out and ask me to withdraw my campaign.
Why? You're an independent candidate.
I know. We talked about this today at the thing. I come from a tradition which is lift every voice, and I just told them, you're talking to the wrong black man. But they're used to talking to black folk who will withdraw in a minute. Yeah, I said, you got the wrong black man in this case.
The other point I want to ask you in your candidacy, is it your stand for the Hamas and the Palestinian people? Is that drove some of the leaders in the black community not to be attracted to your campaign, not to be supporting you? Is that the point that we're in the United States right now? Because when you look at some of the black journalists that you always with, and some of the group that you always mentor with, and they're not with you today in your company, that's bothered me, Cornel West, Dr. West, because you have been an advocacy for human rights, for the justice system in America, and your vision, you have one of the great voice when you speak. And a lot of people, they might not agree with you, but at least they should listen to what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
And the beautiful thing is, you see, I'm a jazz man, which means that I don't consider myself a Pied Piper for somebody that follow. I want black people to think for themselves, critically engage the issues, take what I'm saying seriously. I take what they are thinking seriously. Then they come down where they do. So people don't have to agree with me. People don't have to be part and parcel of my camp or anything. I just want them not to fall into the lies that hide the crimes that is crushing our people. But people are going to have different views about things because that's what jazz is about. You lift every voice. It ain't following one Pied Piper. And so for me, it's just a matter of trying to get people who have courage, integrity, honesty, and willing to live and die for the people. That don't mean everybody going to agree. No, we never going to all agree. But we could be unified in our call of the love of our people and the service to our people.
Dr. West, one question on that topic before we sway away. You've referred to this in your speech earlier at CARE, great speech, by the way, of the bravery that's required of people, especially when there's oppression involved. You've been at this cause for a while to lift up every voice, but also the voice of every African American, every black man and woman. What do you think is lacking today when we have so much access to technology so that we can empower our communities? Why is it still so hard? Why do we still feel so far behind in empowering every single black voice and making sure they make their own independent choices?
I think that in an ironic way, there's a spiritual poverty in too much of black America. And I go back to my grandmother. I was talking about my father. You know, today is his 96th birthday. They had less money, but they had more spiritual riches than a lot of the folk these days who have some money but have less spiritual riches. And by spiritual riches, what I really mean is courage, willingness to take a risk, bearing burdens, and cutting against the grain, and being willing to sacrifice for something bigger than their own personal agenda or their own individual success. So that the spiritual decadence in America spills over into black America. And once you get a spiritual decadence, all you get is worshiping the golden calf, and you forget about what the genuine calling is, which is serve the people. So you get more cowards. Look at California right now. You all saw what happened in California when they finally passed the Reparations Act after all of that struggle, and then the governor says it's going to embarrass me, so don't even bring it to my desk. It's supposed to go to your desk. So he bring in the Black Legislative Caucus, and they make a deal, $6 million for another commission, and don't even bring it to his desk after the struggle of getting the bill through the assembly, organizing grassroots. That's nothing but political cowardliness. Pure political cowardliness.
What do you expect? It's always trying to be in the front, like they act like they're doing something.
That's right.
We've been out that game, and you've been an advocate for that.
But boy,
but you just got to call it for what it is. That's all.
Dr. West, we do have one of our brothers here with us as well,
Yes,
Dr. Issa
yes.
as well.
Absolutely.
You recently participated in a race. I really would love your thoughts on this. You were brave
Absolutely.
enough to raise your hand and
Our
said,
dear brother right here.
yeah, you did say, Dr. White, that you want to run. I know how grueling it could be. You did go through it. What ended up happening with your race, talking about
For
bravery?
the Democratic Party, as Dr. West has alluded to, they use every trick. They use their money, their influence, their bullying tactic to get me out of the race. That is, they forced me into the primary. I registered as an NPA a year and a half ago, 4 weeks prior to the primary. They said that I registered too late, which we know that it was a lie because they control the Board of Elections out of Tallahassee. Forced me to pay $20,000 to get on a ticket, knowing now that I'm running in their teeth, in their strength. My people vote in the general election, not in the primary. But nonetheless, as the hundreds and thousands of people who supported me, I am endorsing Dr. Cornel West for presidency. He is the only legitimate candidate that we have. And I will go out to work hard for him. We have 1.5 million Haitians in this state. We are very vibrant, we are very powerful, we have money. So I urge all my Haitian brothers and sisters to support this man. This man will support Haiti. He will bring truth to Haiti, not some funny commission that's going to be led by the 7 dragons that are there now. So let us support Dr. West. I am supporting him 100%, and I urge my people to support him. Whatever you need, Dr. West, we're behind you.
Brother, that's very, very kind of you. He's brother right on the spot. I didn't know when I came to Orlando I was going to get this kind of endorsement. Lord have mercy.
Campaign. How do we get the independent party to be mainstream? How do we get more bloggers? How do we get more podcasters? How do we get the liberal media and the conservative media to pay attention, to have a movement just like the revolutionary movement, just like you did at Harvard, just like you did at Yale, just like when you left Tulsa, Oklahoma, to move to Sacramento, the movement, the anticipation that you have to get the independent party moved?
Yeah, no, that's a powerful question. One thing, you need more media just like this media right here. More voices just like you all's voices that's free enough to be able to speak truths from your heart, mind, and soul, and to have people who are interested enough to listen and then take it and run. Take it and bear witness. Because the powers that be are very powerful, but they are experiencing a decay and a deterioration too. And so we have to continually build our own institutions, own infrastructures, raise our own voices, and then be supportive of each other.
And then we also have to support him financially. Like tonight, they raised over $500,000 in this place tonight.
That care that is for our listeners, I want to be sure they understand.
Dr. West is under a tremendous financial strain. All right, they're hitting him at every level, personally as well as his campaign. So we have to put our money behind him. We just can't talk. How are we going to do it? We just put our money behind him. I have confidence that he has the right people who will put the money in the right place so we can put him on every ballot in the country, and we can see that he has a chance to become the president.
Dr.
have
West,
to do that.
another point I see the conversation going, especially in the Democratic side, where truth information now become misinformation and propaganda. How do we fight this moving on, especially at your age? You're 71 years old. And I want the next generation that's coming in to have fighters like you, people who could speak their mind without being censorship, people who could speak their mind without being shut down by the government. So how do we do this? How do you leave me for this to deal with this to the next generation?
Yeah. How do you pass on the great tradition of a great people? How has the great legacy of Haiti been transmitted one generation after the other? It's always by means of example. You have to have young people who see older folk, who don't sell out, who don't cave into the lies, who don't give up, keep fighting, and the young people are then inspired to do that in their own way. See, I don't believe in imitation. The younger generation, the Haitians, not going to be the same as the older generation. The young generation of black folks that I grew up listening to Curtis Mayfield and Aretha Franklin, it's going to be different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, they're going to listen to Beyonce. I said, okay, go and do your thing, Beyonce. I'm with Aretha, but I'm old school.
Yeah.
But the tradition will go on. But you have to see it, and they had to touch it. So you take brothers like yourselves, you see, that you all have the courage and the love inside of you because somebody poured that inside of you and you were inspired by their example. Not just their words, not just their language, but their example. That's where the love is. That's where the courage is. That's where struggle is. And that's where the movement has to always be. I know I got to run, because we having a gathering, my family, to talk about my father.
Thank you.
But so they all in California, so that I get a chance.
Last word. 1 second, voice.
Yeah, that's a
Dr.
good
West.
question. I don't know when I come. And for my dear Haitian brothers and sisters, be of great courage. You come from a great people. Never, ever be discouraged. Hold your heads up high. Keep your back straight and keep telling the truth and bearing witness to service to other Haitians and other oppressed people.
You have my number.